computer. All right, so folks from around the world, as you know, every single Wednesday, I like to bring on someone in the trading community just to discuss trading, stocks, just talk their strategy, learn from them, and gain some tips and insight. We have with us today none other than Mr. Kenny Glick, also known as the Warlock, a.k.a. Hit the Bid Kenny, a.k.a. What's that band you like a lot, Kenny?
I have a lot of names. I'm the Abraham of assets, the Barack of bread, the Cain of cash, the David of ducats, the Elijah of earnings, the Frank of funds, the Glick of gelt.
That's right, man. That is right. I met Kenny for the first time actually in New York City, the Benzinga conference. Him and myself and Joel Alcana had a really nice dinner together. And we just talked, and I just like Kenny a lot, man. So, hey, dude, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
So you talking about Tesla? Yeah, we could keep going.
We could talk Tesla for like, what, 47 years. Let's just dive into it, man. How did you play this? What was your thoughts on it? Because I know that you and I kind of transcended Joel a little bit, and that was okay.
Well, for me, I was actually a big fan of this thing back in the day. You know, this is one of my first winners. My dad and I used to trade together, and, you know, I had to sell him on this. And, you know, I've been trading for 25 years, and we used to subscribe to newsletters and whatnot. And, you know, we're always looking out just for where the ideas come from. So I was sitting in a dentist office reading about Tesla's new car coming out and how they won the Motor Trend car of the year. And the stock was just sitting there, you know, 35 bucks, between 27 and 35 for what seemed like forever. So I told my dad, I was like, listen, let's put 35 grand into this thing. And, you know, this is legit. I mean, these cars are awesome. This stock should be $100, you know, within the next couple of years. And it just sat around and did nothing. And then it started getting some analyst coverage finally. And some guy came out and put a $100 price target on it. And everybody was making fun of the guy. Yet the stock went up about 15 points that day. So my dad was like, hey, listen, we've been sitting in this thing for too long here. Let's take something off the table. And I agreed. I was like, listen, all right, cool. You know, let's take some money off the table. And, you know, we had our, you know, a couple of hundred shares left of this thing. And then I remember when it hit, you know, got to the 100, and we were like, you know, just so happy about it. And then we claimed victory. And then that's when it really, really started to take off.
Yeah.
And we were just sitting there going, what did we do? And then it's just like, you become just that typical investor where you've just sold out of something. You don't want to buy it back at a higher price. So we waited for the pullback that never came. And next thing you know, this thing's at 250, and, you know the story. And then finally, you know, many, many moons later, after all the shorts got their asses kicked on this thing and it rolled back over, there I am in Hawaii just, you know, this July. And then we're sitting there in the Tesla dealership, and, you know, my wife was looking for a new car, and, you know, I'm a Jew, so driving these BMWs and Porsches kind of just irk me a little bit. You know, Jews driving German cars, there's a Sarah Silverman bit about it.
Yeah.
So we were thinking about doing Range Rover or going to get the Tesla. And we're in the dealership, and the stock is just broke under 200. And, you know, I'm talking to my kids. My kids are pretty hip to the market, you know, at this point, because, you know, all they hear me is yelling about it every day. And I was like, here's the deal, guys. We're gonna buy the Tesla stock, and when it goes back to 385, we'll sell the stock and we'll buy the car. And did I do it? Absolutely not. So this recent move, I just got back involved because this was one of those trades where actually common sense came into play. The stock was 385, was the all-time high. And that was all on hype and, you know, and excitement about, you know, I'm a believer in buying Elon Musk. And, you know, call me crazy, but when he started building rockets and all that, I figured, hey, look, if we own stock in Tesla, when this dude colonizes Mars, maybe every shareholder gets an acre of Mars. How awesome would that be? Mm-hmm. So I was joking around about that. That's kind of part of the premium of the stock. So long story short, once they had that massive earnings report, I was saying, listen, how could the stock not go back to 385? And then once it breaks 385, coming from the .com days, most stocks that get through 385 would go to 500, you know, and that's just something that we've seen. Stocks that get to 80 generally go to 120. When you get through the 120 mark, you generally get to like 250. So these are prices, and this stock trades just like 1999.com. So I finally started ponying up some cash just recently to take care to be involved in this 385 to 500. So when you said 500, I mean, yeah, I did not think we'd see it in 2 weeks, but this
Same.
this price, the higher the stock goes, the easier it is now to move, because now a 20-point move in the stock is a 3% move, a 4% move. It's
Right.
not a $180 stock anymore.
Right.
So sure, there's some hype, and it might be getting overextended here, but in this market, we just shrugged off 2 world wars and a stock market crash, and we're only 8 days into the year. So anything goes right now.
Yeah. Does this feel at all to you like January of 2018?
A little bit. Only thing about this market, why, and again, I was bearish, but I've learned I've learned my lesson the hard way, just like most traders have, where we want to believe that we're right about calling some tops and maybe getting out of some positions, but I refuse to go short this market anymore because it continues to confound and baffle me. So I'm now sticking to, again, I'm still most in cash because my day trading has been phenomenal. I love the idea of that gap down yesterday. I came in today licking my lips, rubbing my hands together, looking for buying opportunities. I could not believe the market was up, when I woke up this morning.
Yeah.
I just on the residual fear of what's
Right.
going on out there, but yet this market gapped up, but still plenty of opportunities on a daily basis for me not to really recommit the amount of money that I've had, prior to, the Dow hitting 20,000, because I don't know if you guys know who I am, but I made a pretty good prediction. I like to pat myself on the back every once in a while, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
In January 2011, I said the market would hit 20,000, at when the end of the Obama regime. And I was off by a week on a call that I made, 6 or 7 years prior.
Yeah.
So when the Dow hit 20,000, I cashed out of a lot of stuff. I've held on to the Qs this whole time, which is now my core portfolio. Really all I own is the Qs. I've got some dribs and drabs and some new stuff, lately, but really most of my money's in the Qs because you can't fight these things. And this market, it's not like this bull market has been a 10-year bull market or 11-year bull market like everybody likes to say. We went nowhere in 2015. I think it was 2015, 2016. We've had massive corrections. Last January, we crashed, and nobody seems to remember it already. And this bull market could legitimately have gotten kickstarted again a year ago. And this is now, we're on pace for another 7 or 8 years of this. Who knows? But right now, there's no denying what we're seeing. And I just trade what I see.
Yeah. So how do you trade? Tell us a little bit about that.
6 years ago, I've been running chat rooms, since chat rooms were chat rooms,
Yeah.
from the
You've
AOL
been at it
days.
for a bit.
Yeah. So I had a guy come in, and he was watching me trade, and he asked me if I've ever heard of multiple time frame VWAP. And I was like, I don't even use VWAP on my charts. He's like, how do you not use VWAP and you call yourself a professional trader? He's like, you're actually using it, you don't even know, because he started looking at the support and resistance lines that I was drawing myself, like you're doing so far, just your typical candlesticks. I would just take, candlestick support resistance, divide the amount of candles, taking the highs and lows and doing a quick mathematical formula, just simple stuff.
Right.
And he was telling me why don't you just let the VWAP do the talking for you? So 6 months goes by, and a member of my chat room opened my eyes, and I'll tell you, his name was Zach Hurwitz, and he's changed the way I look at the market. Zach was a disciple of Brian Shannon. Me and Brian now are buddies. Zach is unbelievable, and now all I use is the 1 minute VWAP and multiple time frame VWAP. So basically on a daily, every day I'm looking at where the VWAP was the prior day and where it is today. So, for instance, I love stocks that are gapping up on an earnings report and then roll over through your VWAP. Like we were shorting STZ at the open. And then what makes me a little bit different, I'm not going to sit there and stay short a stock just because it was short in the morning. STZ breaks back over the VWAP in the middle of the day. Here I am buying the stock, covering the short and going long. And that's my day. I mean, STZ was phenomenal today. On the way down, made a couple of points, and then right back on the way back up, coming over the 1 minute and the multi-day, as we call it. And then, there was a bunch of other trades that we, did a little bit of rad today. It was a phenomenal trade, RAD,
Yep.
short squeeze right back above the 1 minute today out of nowhere. I mean, that stock looked like it was destined to go right back to 11, maybe $10, and then blasting off through the 1 minute, just about, around 11:30, we picked it back up as it's breaking over 1292, 1293, and 13, and then massive day. So
You're
for
mostly a
me,
1 minute trader, right? Is that
oh
kind of?
yeah. I mean, I am the typical prototypical day trader. I am looking to do whatever I do mostly during the day, and then, again, in this heightened volatility that we're having finally right now, I'm not I'm not extremely excited about taking an overnight, but if I get a trade to go my way and it's, we're sitting there at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and it's still giving me a reason to be in it, sometimes I'll take, again, I'll take a few hundred shares of it overnight just to see, if I could play the little gap on the end of the day momentum. But for me, every day is a brand new day. I know I'm going to find these reversion trades and these reversal trades. What else did I trade today? I traded WBA coming off the lows. Once it got down to that big number 55, the VWAP was down there at around 55.30. We had a nice reversion trade on that one. But again, it's for me, it's the same exact trade every single day. And with all this stuff going on, I'm a little frightened guy. I trade petrified still, and I've been doing this my whole life. So when I see World War coming, and I see, the writing on the wall that there's going to be some more volatility, I'd rather be in cash right now and just wake up every day not having to worry about what I held overnight, because I know there's going to be opportunity every day.
Yeah, same. And just do a lot of day trading and just really scale in. So something like Rite Aid, can you kind of walk me through your process of just when you're getting into this trade? You outline that perfectly. I mean, it's very clear. Where do you have stops? Where do you put your stops? How long do you hold? Give us that kind of walkthrough.
Yeah.
Are you
So,
just looking for monetary, like I want to make $1,000, 1,000 shares, move $1, or what does it look like?
oh, well, basically anything under $20, I'm generally trading, 5 to 600 shares. I'm a small fry nowadays. I'm more about trying to get my guys in the room to know why I'm doing these trades. Even if I throw 100 shares on,
Yeah.
again, I love my QQQ position. I could stop trading right now and just cash out and walk away like Barry Sanders right now. But I love doing this stuff, and I love showing people this new VWAP trade. And again, it's still, for me, it's still fresh because it's only been about 6 years I've been using this, and it seems to be spreading and getting better. So my thought process here, on RAD, the opening explosion caught me off guard because I'm thinking, this thing's headed back down to $10. So I'm thinking short, and then it explodes out of the gate. But then you get the reversion back down to, your VWAP. So, around about, at about 10:16, we started basing out at what we call the multi-day VWAP. So you're hovering below the 1 minute, but you're still flirting there, chopping around at, that $12.82, 12.72, between 82. So for an hour or two, this thing didn't know what it wanted to do. And then you're breaking back above the 1 minute. So right there, I'm a buyer at 12.92, and I'm using that prior VWAP range as my out. So the way I look at this thing is, okay, we spiked up this morning to about $13.33. So if I can calculate risk reward very quickly, if I'm buying in here at 12.91 and I'm using 12, basically the bottom of that candle was 12.78, and the prior low was 12.73. So I'm risking 20 cents to possibly make 45 or 50. I'll do that all day. As long as I have where I know where my out's going to be and what my target is. And then, once this thing got over that 13.25, that's when we start looking old school trading. If you guys remember when we traded in eighths and quarters, a $13 stock, if I could get paid that 12.5 cents, I'm starting to sell out a little bit, so at 13.49, I'm a big half number believer. So once we got through the 13, I'm looking at 13.48. I'm selling. And then, I'm still in this thing because obviously I'm looking for, $14 on the rest, but I've sold some at 13.75. Now my stop is that 13.75 on the rest. So either I'm getting out of the rest here at 14, or I'm getting stopped out of my last few lots at 13.75. So I'm locked into the profit. I've taken profit along the way. And again, the way I trade, sometimes you're going to be all angry because you're like, wow, why not even sell any of this at 13 and a quarter? What was I thinking? But hey, look, the trades that you sell out of and they go back down after you get out of them, you got to remember that happens too. It
Sure.
feels like every time you sell out of something, it keeps going higher, but that's just because, we remember the stuff that annoyed us more than the stuff that worked out.
Yeah.
Again, me being a pessimistic Jew.
So Kenny, how did you find, or what was your thought process on Rite Aid? I know it's been a mover crazy. Is that just like, hey, it's been moving a lot, I'm going to keep watching it? Was that kind of your thought process?
Absolutely. Looking for
Okay.
stuff that's been in play. I've been trading LK for about a month now. This is one of my favorite stocks to trade.
Oh my goodness.
As long as they stay in play and the volume is there, and there continuously news stories and gaps to be filled and reversions to be had, big fan. Been trading the stock almost every day. And again, I like going against the common sense. They had what was perceived as bad news yesterday. I got an email, oh, I hope you're out of that LK. And, I was like, why? What happened? He's like, oh, they did some offering. This thing's going to get smoked. And my immediate thought was, man, I'll be buying this tomorrow.
Yeah. It was a secondary, right? Secondary offering?
Yeah, some convertible debt or something again.
Yeah.
I don't read
with the LK. Who reads that kind of news, Kenny? Who has the time to read that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Oh, I don't. I just look in. If there was something out there to make it react, then that's why this is my favorite time of the year once we go into earnings. Because when do we have the most gaps is when we have earnings reports, or, there's really, again, this is my favorite time to trade because now you're going to get your STZs and all these companies. So going back to that RAD, I mean, that stock was a vicious short squeeze where, I got hammered trying to pick a top, a couple of times, but then it finally rolled over. I got my revenge on the short position. And, I was thinking, again, I have these multiple time frame VWAPs, which was telling me if this thing broke back under 20, that there's really no support down to about $11.60. And if you see what it did yesterday, it pretty much got there in the aftermarket. Again, it was helped by bombs and missiles going off. But, if it's in play, I'm going to watch it. And then I usually stick to that stock for 3 or 4 days. But LK keeps paying us, so we keep going back to it. Right now, obviously Tesla has been phenomenal. And then when a stock beats me up a little bit and I'm just on the wrong side, I just walk away. Walk away. US Steel, that stock owns me. I cannot get it right. I've been long the stock so many times, thinking this thing's going to break out, and I keep getting hammered. Forget it. I'm never looking at this thing ever again. I'm short. I've been selling naked calls on it out of revenge. I'm probably going to cover that because I know I'm in this trade because I'm pissed.
Yeah.
So there are just some stocks that own you. And, but now that earnings season is coming along, tonight we'll be looking at Bed Bath & Beyond. We'll be looking at, today was Lennar, STZ. You had, I forgot what the other one was. Oh, and Walgreens. So tomorrow I'll keep an eye on those three. But most of the time, I'm looking forward to who reported the night before and the morning of. And then I start plotting my VWAP, and I look for the reversion trades.
Yeah. That's killer, man. I really like that because you're kind of breaking it down and making it pretty simple. And I get it. I totally understand it. Are you always using the 1 minute chart, or do you ever use a 5 or 10?
Yeah, I look at, well, the 1 minute is the standard. When you go on Thinkorswim and you put up VWAP, that's generally going to be 1 minute. Yep. So I have an hourly also, and if you guys are familiar with Brian Shannon, he's has something called anchored VWAP.
Yep.
So you could take what you think is a reactionary area and anchor and create your own VWAP. And I sometimes do a custom VWAP like that, but I'm using usually the standards. So I like to call it the multi-day. So I'm looking at a 1 minute and a 1 day. So it's giving me data from the prior day, and it's grabbing the prior day's pre-market and aftermarket. And then if we continue to trend, here, I'll try to find one for you. Well, you don't have my charts up. I don't know what I'm thinking.
Do you want me to share my screen? I can if you have Zoom.
I don't. I'm talking on my Mac. My
okay,
computer.
that's fair.
I use the PC to trade. But generally, if I could get through the 1 minute, 1 day, that's when I'm starting to sell a little bit of it. And then if I have a 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day, usually at 5 days of VWAP, you have gone parabolic, and we're down to the last lot anyway. But I have now just, I'm a devout VWAP follower. I am, I call Brian Shannon the master. Zach would be the emperor. I am just the Sith Lord, or maybe the Darth Vader of VWAP. But it's good enough. And now I'm just training all my little Yodas to join in on the fun. And
Yeah.
it's a really nice, clean cut way to get away from everything else I've used in my life. I mean, I don't even know what a Bollinger Band is anymore. Stochastics, I have no clue. I don't know what the Ichiro cloud is. I have no idea.
That's so funny. By the way, can you reach out to Brian and tell him to connect with me? I've sent him an email or two, and I don't think he's gotten it.
Yeah, sure, man.
Yeah, I just want to do the same thing I'm doing with you, just chat with him. Because the anchored VWAP, I use it on TrendSpider a lot. I don't have it pulled up at this exact moment, but it is really nice because again, you get to kind of look at and see, you know what, this is an area of importance. This is a price of importance, day of importance. Anchor it, get it drawn. So that was really beautiful that TrendSpider did that. Who do you use for your charting?
I use Thinkorswim. Because again, that's Zach introduced me to Thinkorswim because that was the charts that he said was easily codable.
Yeah.
Once I introduced VWAP to a couple of trader friends of mine, they started coding on their own. So now we have we have the hourly VWAP, which is pretty cool for the guys that like to trade in the middle of the day. I'm not a big fan, but these guys really like it. They use the 1 minute, the hourly, and something he invented called the anti-VWAP. I can't really comment too much about it because I'm not hip to his VWAP intricacies right there. But he seems to swear by it. And again, that's what trading's all about. You find something that works with you, just keep doing it until it stops working. And 6 years later, I mean, again, this is still fascinating stuff to me. And like, somebody just wrote, yeah, it still seems new and exciting. And that's why, again, I'm going to keep using it forever.
Yeah. That makes sense, man. I think that's a really, really good perspective. It's also humbling to know because we always can find out and learn something new or have some type of perspective or fresh idea that pops into our head, regardless of how long we've been trading. Because you've been, 2.5 times longer than I have. I mean, longer than most people. I mean, you've been around forever.
Thanks.
So it's good. It's definitely a good thing.
Yeah. No, I was there originally. The trade was just follow the money. Like the Nigerians say. Back in the day, you used to trade in fractions. It was crazy. No, but you would be able to just watch the market makers, So if you were trading, like there was a company that Cisco took over, it was Ascend. I don't know if I'm dating myself. Anybody been trading since 95 or 96?
Yeah.
But every day, wherever Goldman Sachs would go on the level 2 or the box, you would just follow him. If he was bidding it, you would just buy the offer and then he'd go high bid and you would just sell it to him and you just make your eighths and your quarters. And it was fantastic. So we just traded momentum and, the opening range breaks. And as long as Goldman Sachs was following along, you would just sell it back to him. And that was the first thing I ever learned about trading is finding the axe as they called it and just reading the tape. Those days are kind of over. I don't know if have you noticed this or not, but now you get the algorithmic spoofing. So what I mean is you'll see a guy showing massive size on the offer on a stock that's trending higher. And it's kind of like they're trying to scare people out of their stock by showing this massive offer. Back in the day, if Goldman Sachs was showing some big offer, you knew he had some stock to sell. Now it's basically, it's bullshit. Like the other day there was when SDC, which was another great trade of ours 2 days ago and today, they were showing you like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of shares sitting there on the offer. And I was like, all right, this thing's going to rip any second now. And then boom, block after block. It's like they're showing the size and then that size is already negotiated. By the way, Rad's about to hit our out here at 13. Boom, sold to you.
There you go.
I'm out.
Nice new pop, new volume, new high of the day. It's a good sale, man. Good job. How do you trail it? Do you trail on any time frame, or again, because you can't use VWAP for a trail specifically at that price?
Yeah, I mean, once we're in this trade, again, I like selling the quarter on anything under 15 or 20. Generally, I'm taking profits on every quarter. So I'll be selling 13 and a quarter, 13.50, 13.75, and 14, and now my trade's done.
Yeah.
So great. Again, it would have been awesome if I held the entire lot this whole time and sold it all at 14, but I don't trade like that. So,
could have also bought 40,000 shares. That would have been also great.
Right. Yeah.
I get it, man. From one professional trader to another, how do you handle or manage your taxes? What's that look like? Is it easy? Is it simple? Do you hire someone? Do it yourself?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's evolved too. As far as that's concerned. I mean, I remember the first time I brought this stuff to my accountant, he didn't know what to make of it. He's like, "Well, if we put the wash rule in effect, you owe the government $40 million." You know,
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, don't do that."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, and this way you owe this amount of money." And he's like, "Well, considering nobody knows what the hell you're doing here because nobody's ever traded this actively ever," he's like, "We'll just come up with a number. We'll use it as inventory, and every year it's something different." I know now it's a little bit more basic, that it's just, the ending proceeds versus purchases, and we come up with one number, and then she does her magic and does some write-offs. I really can't comment too much about it because I just let her do the work for me.
Yeah.
And, so far so good.
Yeah, which is fair. I totally get that. That makes sense. So you just kind of get that all wrapped up, and then you just hand it off to your accountant and say, "Hey, don't make it too painful."
Yeah. I mean, I remember the time where the IRS, sent me a letter. They wanted to see every trade. I was like, "Are you serious?" I legitimately had cartons of trades, when they would send the confirmations in the mail. I had cartons and cartons and cartons of boxes and of confirmations. By the way, I probably shouldn't have sold all this red, huh?
Yeah, like I said, man, we never sell the exact top, right?
But yeah, I mean, it's I don't even. And by the way, if you ever concern yourself, I was talking to a few people. Well, I don't want to sell it now, or because of taxes. I'm like, you should never think about what you're going to be paying in taxes to dictate how you're going to trade. I never even think about that stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, man. I mean, because here's the thing: you're going to pay taxes at some point if you make money. So, and if you want to have enough write-offs, do real estate or do some commercial real estate and get creative and create some LLCs. You can pay as little tax as you want. It depends on how much work you want to do. How hard you want to really hide it. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
the government doesn't like it when you try to escape paying taxes, because I'm trying to do a rollover with I have an LLC, and I have a couple of I'm big into the real estate. After I cashed out of the market at Dow 20,000, I took a lot of that, bought some buildings and whatnot. So now I'm trying to roll one into the next and doing the exchange. They are already like red flagging me, and they're trying to prevent me from doing this, and they're coming up with all these new rules. And it's like my accountant is telling me that it's going to be like a $20,000 process to fight the government to get, it's almost that they're trying to make it so hard to escape paying some taxes that you might as well not fight and just suck it up and pay.
yeah, yeah. Well, again, I mean, that's the thing is like if set some money aside, something, do consider it. But do you ever pay on like a schedule? Do you wait? Do you just pay it all up front? What does that look like?
Yeah, I throw a little bit every 3 or 4 months.
Yep.
And now I have a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So
Yep.
yeah, definitely look at my accountant's always telling me make sure that I throw something to the government so they don't bug me.
Right.
You know.
Right. I can totally respect that, man. Love it. Love it. And again, if anyone else has any questions for Kenny, feel free to ask. How'd you come up with the name The Warlock on Twitter?
Well, I'm a big medieval guy. My assistant's called the Minotaur. I like, swords, and, I'm all huge. I'm a huge nerd. I like, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I have all kind of swords in my house and, medieval weapons and stuff. So some people saying like I'm like a wizard, but a wizard that's too easy to go with the wizard. I want to be more demonic. So I went with the warlock instead.
Yeah. I love that, man. I think that's incredible. You mentioned your Qs. That's your long-term holding. Do you ever touch it? Ever write calls against it, protect the puts? Or you just, that's it. You hold it. You're in it for a while. Do you ever sell? What's that look like?
I've shorted it. I've shorted it against the main holding, and I've lost every time. I've been wrong every time. So basically, I've taken money out of my own pocket, and my dad, cut me off from that account. So
Got it.
Like, stop shorting it and trying to time the market. Because we got in, our cost average around $65 now.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, this thing's probably going to go to 250 within 10 or 15 years. And we're right on schedule. I mean, we might be at 250 by the end of this year, which looks pretty easy at this point. At 217 now, we're talking about, what do we got? 10 more percent, 11, 12.5%. So this market's unstoppable, and the Qs are where you want your money. And because I'm not going to try to continue to pick individual stocks. I've had my fill of getting crushed on U.S. Steel every time, and I'm kind of dumbfounded about U.S. Steel. Trump with the whole making America great again and infrastructure. I figured U.S. Steel would be a no-brainer, but I got that one
wrong. Yeah, we all get some wrong, man. So I get it, but that's why the Qs versus, let's just say, the SPY or the IWM.
I want to own Amazon, Tesla, Netflix, Google, Facebook. Yep. It had some biotech rolled in there. And It was just something that, when they first, I was there when they invented the Qs. It was 4 Qs, so it's kind of nostalgic to me as well. And it's really like, if you look at it, when I was a kid, I used to go to the Fidelity Center and read the top holdings of the stock. And I'd be sitting there, trying to figure out which mutual fund I wanted to buy. And then I found out about the Qs. I was like, wow, here's the greatest bunch of stocks ever, all wrapped up into one stock. And I don't have to pay, a load to get in. And it's liquid if I want to sell. What's better than the QQQ?
Yeah, I get it. No, it makes sense. And that's, like I said, look how well it's performing. It's incredible. So when it hits your target, are you going to sell or?
I don't know.
Trim and trail.
When it's at 250, we'll see where we are. But hey, I got another one for you guys. You want to join me on my new stock holding? I just got into one a couple of days ago because I love this chart. AAOI.
Oh, bro.
Finally.
I just set up a trade on that one, man, yesterday.
Me too.
Dude, yes.
Finally, through the looking glass. Come on!
Yeah, baby. Yeah, you and I have always been pretty similar the way we trade, which I've always appreciated about you. But yeah, look at this thing, man. Why is it coming back to life, do you think?
I don't know, but look at that 2-year chart. I got a target of $18.40 because I got a 1.5 year VWAP target around $18.40. It's just coming out. This chart looks like AMD did when AMD sat around for 2.5 years between 250 and 4 and broke out. So I'm just looking at it as it starts always for me as technical. I'm not really that familiar with what this company does, but in this market, people are looking for new ideas. How about a stock coming out of a 1-year slumber? And again, I'm just looking for 5 or 6 points at it. And I'm risking $1 to make 5 or 6 here. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it makes sense. What does this company do?
Want me to read you the profile? I'm not sure. I forgot now.
Yeah. Dude, I have no idea what they do. No clue. I've not looked into it. But yeah, I'm with you. It's the technicals look good. It looks really, really crisp and clean. Vincent says they do optoelectronics. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I love that stuff.
But this is a good one, man. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. What else you got?
I'm in AUPH because I like a stock that gaps on news and doesn't give back the gap. And then suddenly we got another gap, which was nice. AUPH. Apparently they have a drug that's working and people are excited. This is what I call it's proving itself to me. Because usually I like when these pump and dumps get pumped, and then I'm a big fan of dumping them, and hammering them back where they came from. But this one has been now consolidating and breaking new highs almost every week. So no reason not to be involved until, proven guilty. I'm in this thing from the $16 break. We just bought more of this AUPH by buying, I got $10 calls for next January. So the way I look at it is, I paid, the deeper you go in the money, the less premium you're paying. So, if this thing doesn't work out, with these biotech stocks, you never know. One more news story, something doesn't go right. This thing's back to $2, So I figured if I go out there and buy a $10 call for $10, the most I can lose now if something awful happens is that $10 premium that I paid. But so far, so good on this one. Each gap has been, holding. It's had its pullback.
Yeah.
And, what else do I have? We had Beyond Meat yesterday, which was a pretty nice squeeze.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on this one, man?
Today, I'm waiting to see if it could break back above that $90.10 mark, and I'll get back involved. I'm not a fan. I think this is a $40 stock, and then again, I always say zero, but obviously it won't go to zero. But I don't know who the hell cares about fake meat. I mean, but the shorts have looked like they've overstayed their welcome. The thing did not want to break down. So now if it gets over today's reactionary pre-market high, I probably will trade this to the long side again, looking like you could get another 12 or 15 points out of it. And again, those are my favorite type of trades where again, being a shorter and a bear by nature, that I know what these guys are thinking. I've been hammered so much trying to, short stocks in this market over the last decade that they always reload their shorts before they give up. So then when they don't roll over and die, you get twice the move higher on the squeeze. That's why I'm looking forward to another move in Beyond Meat. What else we got? We got I'm in a couple of dividend paying stocks, but those are, who wants to talk about that crap?
High flying, high growth. That's it. That's all we want.
I've been in this INSG for quite a while, and I'll be honest, I sold calls against it because it was sitting around, and I missed a big chunk of this move, but I'm still in the stock, but I sold some 5s and 750s, and obviously I got called out. If you look at the chart, I was selling $5 calls on this thing every month and taking in premium until it blasted off, and I got stopped at, but I'm looking for this thing to pull back to that 750 area. Maybe I could get back in at a reasonable price. That one's been pretty good to us.
So you do dabble a little bit in options as well, huh? You mentioned you sell some calls, so you do covered calls, things like that.
Yeah. By the way, right now the weed sector's blasting off right now for some reason.
Yeah, so I just set up a trade on CGC. I would like to see if it I don't think it's going to pull back to 1985. Do you ever use limit orders, or is it always market, or how do you actually enter a trade like that?
Always limit, never market. Yeah.
Hit the bid, man.
Yeah. Always limit, especially if you're trading options. Guys, if you're ever trading options, don't ever send a market order. You give them permission to open the spread, rip you off. And again, if you're buying 10 contracts and you lose 15 cents, that's $150. Why give it to these guys?
Just because you're pressing a button wrong, usually.
Right.
Yeah, that's madness. Weed stocks starting to pop a little bit. What's your thoughts on JD? Have you opinion? Any info?
That one I don't watch. Let me see what I got. That's this Chinese stock, right?
Yep.
Wow, I had no idea. That just broke out of a 6-month range there.
Yeah, it's traded sideways forever. It's a massive company, man. I think the rumor is this is the 3rd or 4th biggest e-commerce company in the world. Listen to that stat. Isn't that crazy?
Jeremy, I think right now you could bang your head on the keyboard and buy something and make some money right now.
Well, you traded through 2000. I mean, is this like this, or is it sustainable?
I think this is more sustainable because we haven't gone fully parabolic. We've had corrections along the way.
Yeah.
And this is, I believe it's sustainable. And again, when we do sell off, we keep coming back. And I guess the end of that sentence is until we don't. But there's still nowhere else to put your money. So why would we not continue this beautiful move? And by the way, WBA breaking out of the range right now.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else here. So WBA, this is another one where it just hovered at the VWAP the whole day. Since it broke, you got up to that 55.83, and then it pulled back, but didn't really go anywhere because it never broke back below the VWAP. So you have to be bullish. So our first target now, or our nearest target, is 56.57. That's our multiple time frame VWAP. So now, I'm not in this thing anymore, but a few of the guys are in it. They've held it the whole day because, again, boring is not a reason to sell. It just sat there all day, never gave you a real reason to get out. And now they're enjoying this move up here. And the next target is this 56.57 area, which is what we call that one-day, multi-day VWAP.
Man, so I love that statement. Boring is not a reason to sell, but a lot of people do. Someone was just talking about that the other day where they sold the stock. I think it was Beyond Meat because it was just trading sideways, nothing happening. And my response was, the market does that, man. It lulls you to sleep. Like, you get bored and so your brain says something, you just impulsively sit down on the computer, click the button, and you're out. And then it's going to move because, I mean, everyone's getting out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Don't sell out of boredom. I love it. Would you move stops in that situation? Like, are you increasing your stop, or you're like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it alone. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if once we start getting up, I mean, let's go back to this rad trade. Yeah, probably should have held a little bit as it broke 14, but that was my goal.
Sure.
You set a goal. I got what I wanted out of it. And look at this move. I mean, getting back in at 14 at this point was a pretty good trade.
Wild.
I didn't think it had this much juice, but the short squeezes on. And this is why I trade these LKs. And again, Tesla, a big part of the reason Tesla's going up so much is that people are betting against it. The wall of worry is a real thing. And when you're trading stocks that are heavily shorted, you get these massive moves, these unbelievable moves. But once you plot them on a chart with some VWAP, and you'll see that once you see it and you see the roadmap, it sort of makes more sense that, yeah, okay, it's going parabolic, but there's a price discovery area above it, and this is why it's going there. And by the way, AAOI, nice. We're finally, I mean, this is actually pretty significant. We haven't been this high, I think, since got to go back, maybe 8 or 9 months, possibly, right?
Yeah, this is a big deal, man. Especially if it can close above here. This is going to be really intriguing because, again, I like what you mentioned. I mean, people, it's $12 to $18. I've heard is a good return.
Right. Yeah.
It's just what I've heard. Someone was asking a question. Do you have the daily VWAP on the chart as well as the 1 minute VWAP? And I can answer the question. That's yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I have it overlaid. Yeah.
So no other moving averages, right? You don't have anything else like that?
Nothing. I threw volume profile up there for a while just to see what it is. It kind of became a distraction to me. I have not changed my chart in 6 years. Even my buddy who invented this, anti VWAP and hourly VWAP, it works for him. I'm pretty content with what I'm doing right now. And, again, I'm old, so I get set in my ways. I don't want to be told what to do. Leave me alone. It's working.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. It's like something works and then just, kind of make it happen. What is at this particular point in time, like, I mean, do you have any trading goals? Are you looking to retire? Are you doing this until you die? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, thanks to you and, a couple of other guys, I had, some little glints of fame back in the day, and it seems like my career is getting kind of reborn right now. So I'm enjoying talking about this stuff and showing people this trade that works. So right now I thought I'd be kind of walking away, but things are getting even more exciting and getting better and better every day. So for me, I feel like it's a rebirth. I even stopped smoking pot every day just to keep the energy levels up.
There you go. Hey, do what you can do, right? Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really great. I'm happy for you. Like I said, I know you've done this for a while, and your creativity and your sense of humor and the way you think is honestly just a refreshing take on the market anyway. Because there's so many stuffed shirts who take themselves way too seriously and they forget that, oh yeah, I'm a human and you're a human.
Yeah, I think what I've learned up until this point, and I've been writing a book for about a decade, no joke. I scribble here, scribble there. I think the books now is I don't know shit is the name of the book, because every time I really analyze something and really, really gave it some thought, I get a US Steel, or, like I said, I'm a nerd, right? So I collect dolls, Funko. If you guys know Funko Pop, I freaking love these things, right? So I'm big into Mego. I go to Comic-Con. I love all that stuff. So a no-brainer to buy this stock, Funko, right? And I'm kicking ass in this thing. And once again, you get too excited. You think you're smarter than you are. I'm buying more at 27, 28. Next thing you know, where to go? I get cut in half. So again, the more I think about stuff, the worse I do. When you just react to what you see and just accept what you can do for the day, or I like working in 3-day increments, because, if your swing trade's working, you usually get, you get a couple of days of follow through, and then that's it. Obviously Tesla, we're 6 points away from going to 500. This is insanity.
Yep.
Obviously, wish I would have bought, put the house on this thing.
Yeah.
But I like living for the day. And again, not saying that we were laughing about, a war breaking out, but it felt a lot better not being completely exposed with a ton of positions on last night, knowing that tomorrow we could come into the market and look for some buying opportunity. It just gives you this feeling of calmness that, okay, tomorrow, whatever happens, happens, and we'll be looking to buy if we get a gap down. If we roll over, we'll go short. And, that's why again, I feel I should be more into this market, but I like being liquid, and I like the position that I'm in right now.
Yeah. I love it, man. That's really great, man. There's a lot of people asking some good questions in here. Can your VWAP, since you currently use it on the 1 minute, can it work on the 3 or the 5 or any other smaller time frame? I'm assuming the answer is yes.
Absolutely, yeah. The 1 minute transcends every time frame. So on my chart, when you pull up, if you're on Thinkorswim and you go to a 5 minute chart, you're going to get your 5 minute bars. But you're also that VWAP they give you is basically your standard of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go to a 5 minute chart, what it does for us, it grabs the multi-day VWAP changes a little bit, so it gives you more data. Generally, on a 5 minute chart, it's going to give me 2 or 3 days worth of data, so we get to see where that was. And I scroll through the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just to see where those prior VWAPs were.
Yep.
And that's really all you need for the day. Once you're past that 5 day, and you're looking at a swing trade at this point. Yeah. I think that answered your. I'm not sure if that answered your question.
It did. No, totally, man. Yeah, spot on. Someone named Thor is asking, I like this guy's energy. Do you drink black tea?
I drink black coffee, and then I sprinkle in some of that. I don't know, this celestial seasonings tea to keep my blood clean and my kidneys going.
Yeah.
Big fan of vodka, but I'm not a day drinker, so.
There's a rumor that you consume 9 cups of coffee a day.
Roughly.
Heck yeah, man. I love it. Well, again, for everyone who is watching or listening in, make sure to hop over to Twitter. I do follow Kenny. I do enjoy following Kenny. Him and I are going to continue to chat and just, stay connected in the general FinTwit, as the term goes, the FinTwit world. But you can find Mr. Kenny Glick. Are you also officially doing the Wealth 365 thing?
Yeah, that's what I was thanking you earlier about that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I heard you beat me in the contest. Apparently, you were the dark horse from the back of the pack.
Man, I hired a robot. Just sat there and do all the work for me. But yeah, absolutely. So it is at Hit the Bid Radio. Why radio?
Because somebody had hit the bid, and he wouldn't sell it to me. I'm very upset. Yeah. Plus, I look at it as like kind of a radio show, because I was, I used to work in that industry. I worked for, I worked at Saturday Night Live, and then I worked for Arista Records, and I worked at the Jon Stewart Show, because I was, in that business. So I always wanted to do a show kind of like, I forgot the name of the guy, but he was pretty popular until he got exposed for front running his own trades. But I think that my take on the market, and, just like we're doing right now, to have it on a real radio station, I think it would be pretty cool to have it on satellite radio, where we're talking trading all day, have a couple of guests, give some ideas, talk about charting. I think we could do 8 hours of content and then let it loop, for,
Sure.
24 hours a day. I think we could do it. So I always wanted to do a radio show. So I figured, okay, I can't use Hit the Bid. So I threw radio at the end.
There you go. No, I get it, man. I dig it. Hey, question. So have you come to Nashville since we chatted in June?
No, we're going to come back. We're going to probably come back a year and a half from now, because my friends and I, we love it. I mean,
gotcha. Well, if you want, I know that you would be a big hit in Nashville. I have a trading thing that I do like every year for a week. If you have Labor Day week, if that's ever a good time frame for you, kind of mark it off on your calendar. We can talk more about it, but I'd love to have you come down, have some of your traders come down. It's just, we all just hang out and trade for 5 days and, eat, drink, and check out Nashville.
Yeah. Hey, any reason to go to Nashville. But I don't know if I'd be really up for anything the next day after going out at night. You know, I'm old now, I'm pushing 50, so, and I still like to drink and party like I'm 20. So,
I
but
get it, man.
the recovery, yeah, I might not be there for the open.
Uh, hey, I can appreciate it, but yeah, let's talk more about it because I know a lot of people like you, man. I like your energy. I've always liked your energy. So again, I just really appreciate being here. Thank you so much.
No, man, thanks for having me on, brother. Yeah,
Yep.
and I'll see you in Brooklyn probably in March, right?
Yep. I'll be there.
All right, man. We'll definitely hang out. We'll go grab
All
some
right.
meat.
Yep. Take care, my friend.
Good luck, guys.
All right. Thank you. There you go, guys. Yep. Another genuinely nice human being out there on the stock market world. Kenny Glick. Like the guy, I learned a lot from him. Again, we trade very similar. Really, really good energy, as you guys can tell. And again, he's just a good trader also, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Two really small updates. So we are in gold bearish on this day trod. We're up an entire 5 pennies. So we'll see what we got. Since the VWAP is, an important lesson, we talked a lot about that. You can see we broke the VWAP earlier this morning, just kind of held strong through it. So we will look to take some gains on gold at some point, hopefully if it continues lower. And CGC, this was a day trade that we also set up. I'll probably cancel that one because I think we missed it. I think we can leave it open for another 13 minutes or something like that. And then what was the other one we had? Roku. So we did cancel Roku, mostly because it just kind of kept running and ultimately hit a target that we would have liked to have sold at, which was 136. And then, yeah, Tesla. Everyone's talking Tesla. Apparently, everyone's finally getting bullish on Tesla now. So I love it. I wish someone would have told me to be bullish on Tesla a few weeks ago. Ladies and gentlemen, you rock. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Real Life Trading interview podcast thing. You guys rock. Thank you for all who are here live and always making this a wonderful class, a tremendous opportunity for me to be a part of this every day. You guys are amazing. And until next time, love life, live life, and trade. Bye.